The standard DOT drug test relies on urine to measure historical metabolites. Alcohol testing operates differently. A trained technician uses a breathalyzer to capture a direct, real-time measurement of what is currently in the bloodstream. The drug testing process has built-in layers of review, including laboratory analysis and oversight by a medical review officer. Alcohol testing bypasses those steps. There is no medical review officer, no split specimen, and no 72-hour retest window. A confirmed breath alcohol result at or above 0.04 triggers an immediate consequence. The employee is removed from safety-sensitive duties that exact same day, in the same conversation, at the same worksite. This diagram compares the graduated violation thresholds with the standard for returning to work. While a 0.02 triggers a temporary hold and a 0.04 triggers a full violation, the return-to-duty test demands an uncompromising 0.000. There is no margin and no tolerance built in. As a safety-sensitive worker, you are already required to pass the standard DOT drug testing panel. The alcohol requirements operate alongside those drug tests. You must satisfy both to maintain your compliance and keep your livelihood. The Department of Transportation handles alcohol impairment as an immediate, zero-tolerance threat. Professional survival in these roles requires the absolute absence of the substance. Off the clock, the rules still apply. Driving a personal vehicle on your own time does not protect your commercial driver's license from mandatory disqualification if arrested for a DUI. A first-time off-duty DUI conviction results in a 1-year CDL disqualification, or 3 years if you haul hazardous materials. A second offense anywhere, at any time, results in a lifetime disqualification. A lifetime disqualification means the commercial driving privileges are permanently gone. The law applies regardless of which state the DUI occurred in, and it applies even if the driver was between jobs. The federal consequence follows the conviction, and it cannot be negotiated away through legal representation or employer advocacy. This rigid structure exists because of implied consent. By accepting a commercial driver's license, you legally agreed to submit to chemical testing long before you ever sat behind the wheel. Refusing a breath or blood test at a traffic stop offers no strategic advantage. In most states, refusal triggers an immediate administrative license suspension. This carries the exact same professional weight as a full DUI conviction, bypassing the procedural protections of a criminal trial. The traffic stop is the unavoidable consequence of an earlier choice. The real decision that dictates a driver's professional fate is made before the first drink is ever poured. Many DOT-regulated employers require their workers to self-report any alcohol-related legal event. An off-duty arrest or a charge triggers an immediate obligation under your employer's policy, often within a strictly defined timeframe. Failing to self-report is handled as a separate severe policy violation. In many workplaces, the failure to disclose the event is what results in termination, even if the underlying DUI could have been managed through proper channels. A violation immediately generates fear. Workers worry about whether they still have a job, how their household will survive without income, and whether their CDL can ever be restored. They face a sudden, complex process with high stakes. That fear is followed by shame. Workers often feel their professional reputation, built over years of reliable performance, has been entirely overwritten by a single test result. This pain drives people into isolation, pulling them away from the very support systems they need. The human instinct to hide and isolate compounds the damage. Concealing an event leads to secondary violations that trap the employee in a scenario far worse than the initial incident alone. To counter the fear of public disclosure, federal regulations mandate strict confidentiality protections for DOT drug and alcohol testing information. Details about a test result or a violation do not become workplace gossip or part of a public record. The information is strictly contained, shared only with parties who have a specific operational need to know, like the designated employer representative and the substance abuse professional. This diagram shows the specific exception to that internal privacy, the FMCSA clearinghouse. While data is securely isolated between the employee and the substance abuse professional, the clearinghouse acts as a mandatory central node. It tracks CDL violations, allowing licensing agencies, law enforcement, and future employers to query the database, ensuring prohibited drivers do not perform safety-sensitive work. Confidentiality in the DOT testing program is a carefully engineered framework. It limits who knows and what they can do with the information, making honest engagement with the process safer than attempting to hide. The most vital resource available to a safety-sensitive worker operates long before a violation occurs. Most DOT-regulated employers provide access to an Employee Assistance Program, or EAP, at no cost. The EAP is built for the pattern stage. This is the window of time when a person notices their drinking habits shifting or their behavior changing, but before any critical event forces the issue. Using an EAP is completely confidential and carries disciplinary immunity. It does not trigger a testing requirement, it generates no report to the employer, and it never appears on a regulatory record. For immediate support outside the workplace infrastructure, external resources are available. The SAMHSA National Helpline at 1-800-662-4357 and the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline provide 24/7 assistance without requiring the caller to meet any specific threshold of severity. Reaching out to these programs is a calculated action to protect a livelihood. Making the call is the most responsible step a worker can take to manage their health and their career. A genuine safety culture relies on a mutual operational commitment to the well-being of coworkers. It is not built on compliance surveillance or the fear of being caught. An impaired commercial driver or engineer is a concrete risk to themselves and the infrastructure they operate. Noticing behavioral changes in a colleague demands intervention because the people sharing the road or the rail depend on that awareness. In an ideal safety environment, an employee feels secure enough to exercise honest self-assessment. They recognize a struggle and ask for help before their habits trigger a violation. You do not have to wait for a supervisor, a police officer, or a breath alcohol technician to intervene. The resources and confidentiality protections exist right now, and you have the power to act now. Recognizing a pattern and asking for help early allows the worker to control the outcome of their story. The most effective path forward is chosen by the individual, well before the system makes the decision for them.